you adorable fluff butts out there. Kitthesoulless here, and guess what? We have had some morons. 100% missing the point of the last streamed rant. So we're gonna do a thing. We're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive because I want to put to bed once and for all, and this will be my last stream on this particular subject. But I want to put to bed permanently, at very least on this channel, the idea that the furry community was made for and by the LGBT community, or the queer community, what have you, as specifically a safe space for queer community. Because I need to point out, having been here since '98, well, let's just say I've got an interesting perspective on all of this. So, a couple things to point out first. I've been a human rights activist ever since I was 16. I've been openly gay since I was 14. I've been a furry, like openly a furry, since the age of 10. So, let's get into some history, shall we? But first, I want to let you guys in on a bit of info here, because once again we have Aiden with us, who is a trans pine marten and an adorable scarf.
Hi.
And we have Jackie Versa, who is well, part of the generation that this is kind of targeting to some degree, because it seems like a lot of their generation is fucking moronic.
I can agree.
I mean, a lot of the world can right now. Now that I've gotten my caffeine, let's switch on over to the polar bottle. There we are. So, before we get started on too much of this, I want to give you guys something funny here, because, yeah, Hobbit noticed the stream. Apparently, they didn't think that somebody was ever going to do a live stream or a rant on this. And a couple things. One, the 2-hour thing, that's my general live stream time. Like, that's the time I usually allot for myself. Two, the actual funny part about this is you've got people doing things like ad hominem attacks on me, like things from some Blue Wolf saying, I know that that it gotta smell crazy in that room. First things first, it does smell kind of crazy in this room, but that's mostly because I have incense that I burn pretty much on a regular basis. My entire house smells like either dragon's blood or cooking. Or, once again, ad hom from Brick. From their Xbox 2, this is frying. Yeah, there's a reason this is from the Xbox. It's because that's my primary platform for streaming from. But my favorite one so far is from Patches here, who says, I love when straight and cis people prove themselves to be 10 times more sensitive than they label queer. Y'all, these morons think I'm straight. I can't show too terribly many more of these responses, though, because down past this point, they start getting into things like racism. And I'm not gonna sit here and fucking, like, show off all of the racist fucking things that have been said, but let's just put it this way. It gets stupid. Like, it gets really bad. Also, another thing I need to point out, since there is a argument to be made that the furry community was made exclusively for and by the LGBTQ. Well, AI alert first off, because we decided to Google this. Asking, was the furry community made exclusively by LGBT for LGBT? The answer from Google: no, the furry community was not exclusive. Was not made exclusively by LGBT for LGBT. but it is very LGBTQ inclusive and welcoming to people of all sexual orientations and gender identity. Furries are generally accepted and welcomed regardless of sexuality or sexual orientation. In fact, a survey by Fur Science found roughly equal numbers of gay, bi, and straight members in the furry fandom. The furry community is diverse in gender identity, with 12.5% of furries identifying as transgender and 12.5% identifying as non-binary. So here's the thing, that would put trans and non-binary together at a roughly, what is that? Less than 30% of the community? What most people don't realize is the vast majority of people in this community are actually bisexual. And you might want to claim that, well, that means they're LGBT. Yes. However, a huge number of them are also straight. Let's go and look at that Fur Science thing. Also, hi there, Tiny Thing! I also forgot to say hi to everybody. So hi to Limp, hi Tiny, hello Jackie. So, here you go. So, sexual orientation of sample. 25, just a little over 25% of the furry community is bisexual, with just about 20%, a little over from the looks of the graph, being straight or heterosexual, around 20-ish% again being lesbian, gay, or homosexual. Pansexual clocks in at just over, about 15.5%. Asexual, hi, I'm part of this particular community as well as being gay. Being fucking just a little under 10% of the community, and something else, or I don't know, being less than 5%, you know, each. So, already this is off to an interesting start, because this, just the Fur Science thing alone, debunks a lot of the claim being made that it was made by gay people for gay people, or by queer people for queer people. So that's a thing. Also, hey, Tiny Thing, would you like to join in on this weirdness? Because I know you've probably got some shit to say. Hmm. In prior studies, heterosexuality, while never a majority, was always the most commonly chosen option. When participants were able to choose labels, bisexual emerged as the most frequent sexual orientation, with only about 20-ish% of furries self-identifying as heterosexual. It's also worth noting that other orientations such as asexual, emerged as fairly prominent in the fandom, with about 1 in 11 furries identifying as. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm doing all of this through Xbox. There's a reason. I've explained that reason. But I guarantee there are going to be people out there trying to roast my happy ass entirely because Xbox. I don't care, y'all. If you think me using Xbox is cringe, just wait for it, because you're going to find out a lot of other stupid shit about me. Mostly in the fact that, I've been in that same thing of, like, in the replies to Pawbut's shit about the stream. There are some people that were claiming that this hat was red, and that I'm a conservative, straight, Christian, extreme right-wing, yada yada yada.
Are people blind?
Apparently.
Did you not see the opening part to this?
No, I just tuned in like several minutes ago and
Oh,
went to
no.
make food.
There was a response to Pawbut's response of some dude did a 2-hour stream about this, saying, you've gotta love when cis straight furries try to make themselves 10 times more the victim than they claim that queer people do. I'm sitting here just, girl, Go off, Queen. Sorry, I don't even know if that person's a girl or a boy. I don't really care. But go off, Queen. Lady, you got it wrong. I'm about as gay as fucking fruitcake. Um, the only thing is, most people don't see me doing things like "Hi, Queen," and think that's not what gay is. That is in and of
No.
itself more an act. There are some gay people that do that. Don't get me wrong. There are some, but
And
as a
I
majority,
go into giggle fits every single fucking time somebody does it.
as a majority though, most gays aren't like open, flamboyant. Hi, I like to get fucked in the ass.
Right?
But I mean, if you want to get technical, a memento. So, only one of many. So, y'all want to think I'm straight? Sorry. I've probably had more things up my ass than you've had different types of food. I've also probably been in more ass than you've ever seen. So,
Hey, Kit,
that's a thing. What's up?
it's dinner time for the tiny one.
Please don't phrase it like that when I'm talking about things going up my ass.
I know, but I had to warn you because I do have food in front of me right now.
Oh my god, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
I will be back though.
I will. So, back to the whole first science thing. We asked participants to indicate their sexual orientation using a 7-point scale adapted for the traditional Kinsey scale, ranging from exclusively heterosexual to exclusively homosexual along a single dimension. Recognizing that many people do not consider their sexual identity to fall within the single dimension, we provided additional options, i.e. asexual, pansexual, and the option to write in their own option. It should be noted that many of the following analyses use using two or more variables. The analysis often requires continuous variables, and in such instance, only the data from the 1 to 7 scale is used. This is not a statement about alternative sexual orientations, but rather is a byproduct of the type of analysis used, and wherever possible, we present data on other sexual orientations. In some instances, rarer sexual orientations are presented as an aggregate other category to protect the identity of those who may otherwise be identifiable for having provided a unique or rare response. So, understand, First Science is a fucking, like, literal scientific group. Like, it is a literal science group that has been studying the furry community for a long-ass time. They have been doing, this group has even had panels, or not panels, but like tables and panels and what have you. Not just panels. At conventions I've gone to, they're literally just collecting data from the furry community at large. Which is fucking hilarious, because this group continuously works on these sort of things. So, immediately, just right out of the gate, yes, the furry community has a very high percentage of people who are LGBT. There's a reason for that. It's because this community was originally designed to be accepting of everyone. So, saying that straight people are just guests in this community makes you look like a fucking greasy twat. And this coming from probably the greasiest twat you've seen on fucking streams for a while. Trust me, I know I don't look very good. But, like, seriously, the number of people that have come after me with ad hominem or straw man fucking arguments. Somebody last night actually posted to the rant from earlier.
I'm back for the moment.
Welcome back. Somebody last night posted on the last rant, and one of their opening statements was that I was using, quote, conservative and transphobic speech patterns.
The fuck?
So, yeah. They also mentioned something about Nazi ideology and just all of that. It's just, tell me you missed the point without telling me you missed the point. Also, tell me you're fucking stupid without telling me you're fucking stupid.
Right?
That just reeks of the argument that has been flying around everywhere. That if you speak out against anything in this community that these people don't agree with, they'll fucking try to shut you down by calling you everything in the book. Which, that's fucking hilarious. Because it kind of, segues partially into another aspect of this particular, what's the word? Sorry, my brain died. You'll find out that happens a lot, and, I know a lot of you out there who dislike me or dislike what I'm saying are gonna say, because that's because I'm stupid. No, bitch, it's because I got brain damage. You want to joke about the fact that I might have gotten dropped on my head? Hey, I used to work construction. As well as, working on assembly for furniture. I've had more impacts to my head than you could probably count. Does that make me stupid? No! It just means my brain doesn't function the right way sometimes. So I forget words.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. Moving on, well, not moving on necessarily, but moving over to something sort of adjacent. So, this particular community was built off of room parties. Like, the initial room parties started at, science fiction conventions, sci-fi cons. So, here you go. Room parties and furry. Furry-themed room parties, also known as fur parties, held at established science fiction conventions, were the precursor to separate two separate fur mates, and have sometimes spawned entire furry conventions, such as Anthrop. Cool. With that bit of knowledge in thing, people are saying that the community was entirely created by a pair of gay dudes. And I'll give them this, because the first known funny animal fan party was the Prancing Skiltare party held at the 1985 WesterCon. The first party to be openly referred to as a furry party was held at the following WesterCon in July of 1986 by Mark Merleno and Rod O'Reilly. I'm going to segue into this because I've sat and talked with these guys at length at multiple conventions, and yeah, they're about as openly gay as I am. So that's a thing. So this is where the confusion starts, because yes, the first room parties were effectively set up by Mark Merleno and Rod O'Reilly. They weren't the only ones involved. And what I mean by this is those parties brought in a lot of people, including a lot of what's the word? Artists? Which, like, best examples I can give. Conference party. This little thing right here. The conference group, brought to you by the conference group. 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Room 468. So, this was one of the things for the first parties. This was the art itself was made by Mike Cazale. I'm gonna fuck up names. That's another thing that I tend to do occasionally. This dude was one of the members of a group called Raw Brazzle. Also known as Brazzle, is an amateur press association magazine devoted to funny animal cartoon illustrations that for a long time was a bulwark of the furry fandom. So, this is one of the original, like, party things. Mike Kitthesoulless is a professional animator and comic artist, and a one-time member of Greymuzzle. He's married to Tracy Kitthesoulless. So here's where things start to break down even more and more and more and more and more, because Tracy's a woman. That means the artist for one of the room parties is straight! This individual also was a artist in Greymuzzle, as mentioned. He's a guest of honor at Conference 12 and a guest of honor at Megaplex 6. Do you see the problem here? I know you guys are gonna say this is a one-time thing. This is one group, right? One dude, right? Okay, let's go down to Peter Stoller, another person who helped with the funny animal. Join the party animals. Oh, cool animation. Tonight at the furry party room 266. Yeah, this was a Stoller furry party. Can you see a thing to note in this particular party? Like, in all of this, like, even the artwork here. You guys seeing what I'm seeing? Because, obvious titty, obvious gay dude, geeky dude, you know, dude that's just, you know, sitting there sweating, chick who is fully clothed rather than the, you know, sexy bitch that's right there. This was made by Peter Stoller, also known as Speed. Born in October 1965, is a furry artist from New York, who is married to fellow artist Silnat. Silnat's a woman. So, yet another one of our furry artists who contributed to the original, like, parties, like the original furry parties. Stoller's contributed to several furry comics, including Genesis. Let's go into Genesis, the adult furry comic. That's going to be a thing. So, adult-only furry fandom comic book anthology published by Sin Factory, which featured big names in furry erotica. Genesis began, I'm going to scroll down here, because titties, can't have those on the screen for too long. Genesis here was one of the, like, OG fucking furry comics. Genesis began in 1993 as a mature reader comic book anthology from Antarctic Press as a kind of edgier companion to Furlough. But fans and contributors demanded a bit more, and the title very quickly switched to adults only with the next issue. Issue 2 is the rarest and most expensive to buy issue because the second issue saw a major dip in sales following a strong debut. Most new comic series see a 20 to 50% drop in sales before the first to second issue. Understand, this was one of the OG furry porn comics. It almost exclusively was heterosexual. Now, don't get me wrong, there also was Genesis Male, which was the counterpart to it. Genesis Male is an adult-only furry comic and the art anthology published by Sin Factory again. The male-only spin-offs from Genesis. Production of issue 1 and 2 have ceased, and they are now unavailable from distributors. Yeah. Here's the thing. Genesis Mail issue 1 was published January 2020 or 2002. The very first one was published in '02. Whereas the original OG Genesis 1930 or 1930 1993. Are you seeing a pattern here? How about any of y'all in the thing here with me?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
So, while Mark Merlino and Rod O'Reilly, yes, they were two of the fathers of the furry community, they were not the only ones, and they did not intend the furry community to be a queer-only space where heterosexual people are just guests. Sorry, no. Let's see. Also contributed to Wildlife furry comic. Anthology of comic books published by Anarchic Press and edited by Ellen Winkler. It was intended to complement the Furlough focus on military and adventure stories with Wildlife's humor and slice of life material. Cool. There are 4 characters there, 2 of which are chicks. I know a lot of people are going to go, but these are all straight people. Yeah, they were also some of the first members of the fucking furry community. By the way, a lot of these people are people that I've met and hung out with at conventions, or had the chance to talk to them. Another good one, Furry Party pamphlet by Mitch Barino. Yeah. If you guys don't know who this is Minerva Mink. And Mitch here. Sadly, I believe no longer with us. Yep, date of death, February. Hey, he died this year, damn. Mitch was an artist with a love for Warner Brothers Animations, Animaniacs, Minerva Mink, who he married as a joke wedding held during Conference 12! Winnie Woodpecker and other cartoon females. He used to attend many furry conventions across the continental United States, living in Tucson, Arizona. He was once part of the Tucson Mob. He was a guest of honor at Conference 11. Mitch Barino's persona was a male rat version of himself. Oof. Didn't know that. That's kinda gross. But good to know. Apparently he was put under investigation for thousands of computer files depicting child sex exploitation. So maybe this guy isn't, you know, the greatest of fucking examples here, but I mean, still a fucking straight dude. So, some of the old guard, or most of the old guard, were a mashup between openly gay, bi, straight, and all that. So the argument that the furry community was primarily designed as a queer safe space kind of flies out the fucking window. So, with all of that so far, what are your guys' thoughts? And this is to the party, by the way.
Well, it further misproves their points. I'd say. But like the Barrow guy is a bit of a weak spot.
Oh?
Because I guarantee the guy who had all those files and
Oh,
investigation.
Mitch Vieira. Yeah, he is a weak spot because, understand, there are degenerates in this, there are degenerates in this community. 100%. I'm not arguing there.
Mhm.
In fact, that's actually one of the other things I'm gonna be fucking moving on to. Because I know most furries alive today know about a group called Burn Furs, but I don't think they know about the furry civil war. So we'll get into
I'm
that.
not a furry. I'm
Uh,
not a furry historian.
Neither am I necessarily. I just so happen to live through it. I became a furry in 1998. The furry civil war was going from 98 all the way to 2008. Some people say it never actually even stopped because the divide and arguments between the two sides never stopped being a huge point of debate. Anyways, continue.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I will also point out the fact that there are degenerates in this community. One, kind of gross. Not gonna lie. The fact that they exist within the community, I really hate that idea. I really do. Saying they're not furry because they're degenerates. They were still fans of the furry community. We as a community have to own that there have been historically degenerates in this fucking. There always have been. There always will be. Understand? That's one of the reasons why the greater fucking furry community, or the furry fandom, typically when they see them go, hey, get the fuck out! I know I've been accused of some horrible shit in the past too. Which to that I say, to those accusing me, understand, there is a bit of a trope to accusing anyone you don't like in this community, and there always has been, mind you, of being something they're not. Good example would probably be the next thing we're going to be looking at, which is a fairly long-winded bit of bullshit, and I actually had to pull it up through the web archives. But it's a piece made in 2004 by a dude named Nothing Cat, who I'll actually bring up his wiki for. One moment here. So, Ratface, previously known as Nothing Cat, was a fursuiter. So fresh and so clean. Yeah, not really. Fandom involvement. Ratface created in 2002, nothingcat.com. A website critical of the furry fandom. During its time, he also met Fairly Lush. Article left blank by request. Okay. But this dude was fairly, a fair bit of an asshole. You'll see that in his writing when we go and read it a little later. Ratface met the furry fan Evil Sybe in 2002 and helped him pirate copyrighted furry materials on the net for a few years. Evil Sybe, if memory serves, is one of the good examples of fucking straight up evil in this community. Evil Cybe, formerly Cybe, Cybe Husky, Cybe D Evil, and Cyberu on Fur Nation World. On Fur Nation World's real name, Ross Herbert Reddick, is an American furry fan. Controversy: trolling wears and bans, trolling bans, wears other furries. Okay. Fan of involvement. Evil Cybe is a member of the furry community who has participated in various news groups, image boards, social media sites, and multiplayer online role-playing games. The owner and moderator of furry subreddit r/yif. Oof. For those of you who don't know, r/yif is a bit of a cancerous place. Kindly don't fucking go there unless you really want to absolutely hate the world. Cause it's last time I was there, it was fucking terrible. He's also a mod on a related subreddit, and it's Yif Comics and Hard Blush Rips. He was a moderator on lulz.net. Evil Cybe likes to attend furry conventions, although he's been banned from a number of them. Evil Cybe's chosen avatar as a Siberian Husky, the dog breed from which he derives his original handle. Convention attendance: Anthrocon, permanent ban. All for fun, permanent ban. Conifer Northwest, I don't know if he was banned from that one. Franfurence, permanently banned. Furlandia, not banned apparently. Further Confusion, permanent ban. Rainforest. He was president at Conifer Northwest 2004 with the approval of Convention Committee. Yeah, so this dude was straight up just an asshole in general. This was one of those people that was an ass who effectively believed that furry content shouldn't be sold, but effectively freely given. He would actively go after and pirate things from fucking other creators. He was effectively the early 2000s equivalent of fucking, what's his name? Star Fox Ace Fox, also known as, I believe it was, I mean, he's known fairly well to be the furry Hitler. Foxler Nightfire. This guy was effectively the early 2000s versions of fucking Foxler. Which, that's a whole nother kettle of fish we'll get into later, but that's the thing. These two were by no means good people. A lot of their views I don't honestly agree with, but they do make some good points. Especially in the confession, furry civil war, and politics and shit. But again, we'll get into that one a little bit later. Does anyone else have anything to bring up or to say on what's been said already before we go into reading this asshole's what is effectively a critique of the furry civil war?
Not really.
But to be fair, I did just get back because Dottie hates me today.
I mean, fair. I'm kind of in that same thing.
I also had to run Darkest Food up, so...
Oh, and by the way, for those of you who are wondering if I'm smoking weed, I'm not smoking tea leaves because, well, I mean, addiction is a thing and hand-to-mouth is a thing. It's not good for you in the slightest, but at the same time, it's better than, me sitting here with a cigarette or with a fucking bowl of weed getting high.
Mm-hmm. Also, Dark says hello to people in party, and then proceeded to call everyone in party adorable.
I mean, he's got a point. Everyone in here is adorable.
Off.
False.
Bullshit. Y'all are both adorable. You cannot
off.
deny it.
Who said it? I just said fuck off.
You can. Well, that's still not you denying it. That's you fucking lashing out because you got called adorable.
Fuck off. Oh, it's me lashing out because my gallbladder decided to try and act up just now.
Ooh.
That's what I meant by my body fucking hates me today. But no, he also said Happy New Year to everybody as well.
Happy New Year, Dark.
I mean, Happy New Year, but at the same time, we're furries, let's say it right. Happy Nude Deer!
Oh god, no.
Why?
Hold on, let me see if I can bring up the original Happy Nude.
Are you able to on YouTube?
I believe the original wasn't super, like, risque. It was just a fucking... Hold on, let me see if I can... Thing. Also, again, for those bitching that I'm... no, Jesus, ball sack. That's an E621. Now I can't bring that up.
I'm debating right now if I want to get on Stardew or if I want to go back on Minecraft again.
I mean, I can't necessarily bring up the original Happy Nude Deer because it's not easy to find.
Ow! Fuck! Itch!
But, like, straight up here, give me a site.
Fuck it, I'm pulling up fucking... Minecraft. Because why the fuck not?
I wonder what happens if I fucking type in Happy Nude.
I mean... I need... Thing. I
Excuse me.
don't know...
We're going off on a tangent. Nope, it's not on there either. But yeah, no. No, I can't bring it up, apparently. That's a fucking crying shame, because Happy New Deer was a fun image. It wasn't, like, risque or anything, it was just a fucking, like, anthropomorphic deer with like, fucking bells on with no clothes other than that. It wasn't, like, it didn't show dick, but it was pretty, what's the word? Suggestive. Suggestive is the word. So that's the thing. Kit went to the fun place. I mean, E621 is a fun place. At the same time, it's... Don't go there unless you really, really, really want to fucking, like, lose your brain. Also, no, not fucking, I forgot the word. Not sponsored. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. People in the responses to, like, the fact that somebody noticed I did a 2-hour stream were cracking jokes about the fact that apparently the last stream was sponsored to some degree by Hardee's.
The fuck? No, it wasn't!
Yes, it was!
What?
It had fucking Hardee's ads underneath the stream the whole goddamn time for a lot of people.
Okay.
Which, honestly,
I mean...
I don't control who sponsors those, mostly because I don't actually have the ability to choose my sponsors on YouTube. No one really does. Unless you're doing paid advertisement for said sponsor. which I haven't done paid advertisements ever on this channel, so that's a thing. By the way, if any of you in the chat want to chime in on what's being said currently, this is your chance. I'm focused almost entirely on chat right now. I'm leaving the floor open for at least, let's say, up until the next hour. So, 7 minutes or so, I'm gonna give y'all a chance to chime in on, like, what you think. Hardee's, it's another name for Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr.
Yep. They're effectively the same company, but instead of being called Carl's Jr. on the East Coast and in Central America, it is called Hardee's because of, I believe, not copyright, but trademark reasons. Because apparently Carl's Jr. on the East Coast was already taken and trademarked long before Hardee's became a thing. There was a whole dispute about that, but that's a whole separate issue. We'll go into into shit like that in like another video or what have you. It's really not that important. But yeah, nah, it's fucking hilarious. Because, like, even in the image, if you go back towards the start of the stream, even an image that Pawbutt put up of the, like, a screenshot of the stream, you can see at the very bottom of it just Hardee's. So they're effectively a sponsor of that last one. Indirectly, I didn't get any money from them whatsoever. That's all going towards the YouTube ad revenue crap. So correction, I probably made like $1 total off of that last stream. So that's a thing. Hold on. People have probably wondered why I do this a lot. It's because my beard itches! No time for me to put some Cremo in me. Or on me. God, I'd want some Cremo in me.
I'm clipping that.
Aw, but
No.
why?
Because no.
Don't want to think about the things that your papas have done in the past or done in the bedroom.
Exactly. I don't need that image, thank you very much.
So, I've got people petting people in the chat and like all of that. So, does anyone want to like talk about what's been said so far?
I mean, like I said, I've only been back for a little bit.
Yeah.
And most of my thoughts revolve around these people are fucking stupid.
I'm aware because the original argument that started all of this was somebody saying that fucking furry is primarily, like, 100% was queer culture and that it was made for and by the gay community or the queer community, and that straights weren't, like, allowed or straights weren't welcome or were considered guests in the community. And I'm having fun debunking this shit. But it's also led to a huge thing over both on X and Blue Sky. Recently, that has very much reminded me of the furry civil war, and it feels like we're going through another iteration of it. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But
Fucking, I forgot I did that. And you're thinking, why the fuck do I not have the sound going through for my game?
oh yeah, by the way,
fuck off.
for those who want to say that because this room is the way it is, that it probably smells funky or what have you, or that I'm a bad person because my room is messy, understand, my family within the last decade has gone from living in a fairly large 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2.5-car garage, 3-car, what's it called? Driveway house with a connected, like, sunroom and sauna and all of that, to a less than 700-foot duplex. My room back when I lived in that old house that we got kicked out of because of bullshit with the economy back during the last what's it called?
Recession?
No, economic well, not recession or economic collapse, but specifically the housing crisis from 2008 to 2000, where we bought a house during the beginning of the crisis when houses got super 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 cheap. I think we snagged ours, like our nice big house, back when it was only $200,000 to buy a house like that. Now that same house straight up would sell for close to $2.5 million. Yeah, no, seriously. Delent says everybody in that shithole saying Kit's a straight cis man. Going, wow, look at this grown man. Y'all clearly don't actually watch the streams. Yeah, pretty much. It's fucking hilarious because one of the people in that was claiming I was a right-wing fucking, hard right, fucking conservative because they said this hat was red. I'm sorry, does this look like red to you?
That was actually the whole reason behind the one statement. Are they fucking blind?
100%! Are they blind? No, I'm not gonna lie.
Apparently.
I'm not gonna lie. Give me a second. Oh, God, hold on. Be right
Oh
back.
my god.
My happy ass has to get up for a second to get something.
Ow, fuck. Itchy arm. Why? Legit. Fuck.
I mean, that is moldy piss green, whereas the red you're saying, first things first, it's not piss green. It's fucking black denim. It's straight up black denim. Now, I won't lie. I have a red-ish hat. But understand, you know what that reddish hat is, yeah? And this is gonna get people to want to fucking kill me a lot because it's a USA hat. Do you know why I have this and why I've worn this in the past? There are fucking many, many people who know this. I've had to explain this many, many times in the past. The majority of my family are fucking military! This was given to me by one of my uncles back when I was a little ass kid, because it was an expectation in my family that every single man born to my bloodline was to serve in the military or in the armed forces or some kind of fucking service. The only reason I didn't, and I will never say that I have served, because I haven't. However, the expectation is that I would. The only reason I didn't is because of the fact that I already suffer from PTSD, having been raped by my father multiple times over, as well as beaten and nearly killed by the man. That's gonna shut a lot of people up, by the way, when they're trying to say shit like, this dude's privileged or what have you, because if you want to say that my ass is privileged, I'm a sexual assault survivor. I'm a survivor of parental abuse, spousal abuse. I have been the victim of hate crimes. I have survived some of the worst shit imaginable. I still love this country because I don't count that as, this exclusively happens to me. Yes. Yeah, no, it looks a bit green in the cam light. It sometimes looks a bit brown in the cam light. It all depends on the lighting. It really does. Same concept as one of you said that I was, oh, not one of you, but, like, not one of you guys, but, one of the people in that thing said something along the lines of, this dude's so white he's pink. Okay, so understand, first things first. You know how everybody was saying Trump is neon fucking orange? Hey lady. Lighting is a thing.
Yep.
Those lights up there
Lighting
are
is a
actually orange
major
light.
thing.
Yes, I'm a pale fucking white boy. I really am. The fact that there are people coming after me for that fact, all I can say to every single solitary one of those people that are claiming that, you know, I'm invalid because white boy or that I'm some dirty white boy.
Be back.
All I can say is found the racist.
Ernie an apple. I'll be back. I'm gonna cut Ernie an apple.
Oh, woo. So, since no one has chimed in on this, we're gonna move into fucking, the hyper-cynical nothing cat confession about furry politics. And, oh, believe me, this list could go on and on and on. Now, when talking about furry politics, I'm not talking about their topics and or discussions on the current world government. I'm talking about various organizations that attempted to group together an ideology and a feel of unity within the furry community. What they called unity, I call a clique. Most, if not all, of these groups are now long gone, but for memory's sake, I will go ahead and read out what I consider to be the most popular of the crazy bunch. Now, I will preface all of this by stating I do not agree with everything this moron said. I didn't agree with him when he published this shit. A lot of it is psychotic. But, understand, this comes from the viewpoint of a furry cynic. Somebody who was hypercritical of the furry fandom because he was in the furry fandom and he saw the fucking same bullshit that I did, watching these groups effectively go at each other's throats. I will be adding context from my own experiences, anecdotal as it is, just to point some shit out, but we're going to start off with the burned furs. Without a doubt, the burned furs can basically take credit for starting the whole, quote, fur movement. Which, by the way, no, that is not them saying that they're the reason the furry community exists. They're the reason that this furry political bullshit started. Most groups formed just to go against these guys. The Burned Furs, for those who can remember, were a group of furries who were disgusted with the current state of the furry fandom. Back then, they frowned upon plushophiles and zoophiles, claiming that those were not at all what the furry fandom was about. They frowned upon a very wide open sexual display of the furry fandom, and how bad it looked towards the furry image. Mind you, this was before MTV, various press articles, and heck, even before something awful or what have you ever got heavily involved with the furry fandom. The person who got this started goes by the name of Carla Trotman, or Carla, I think it's Carla Trotman, also known as Squee Rat. Now, understand, I've spoken to Squee Rat at least once. They're insufferable. One day she started writing her thoughts on the furry fandom. Upon starting the Burn Furs movement, that writing later became the Furry Manifesto. I am not going to open that because, yeah, it is very, 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 very hateful. I have read it multiple times over myself, and I do not agree with half of the shit in there. The only thing I agree with is the overall belief that if you're gonna do some deviant shit, like, you know, say, strap a twink up in a fucking sex swing and plow them multiple times over until they can't fucking see anything but God, you should probably be doing it in, you know, a private room, not in, like, a convention hall.
Right.
So, if you read most of the confessions that was written a good 5 years ago, that was written a good 5 years ago, and at the time it was not taken well. A lot of furries saw the group as a bunch of oppressors who basically wanted to take their porn away. By the way, y'all feel free to chime in if you start seeing similarities from then to now. A lot of furries saw this group as a bunch of oppressors who basically wanted to take their porn away. They saw this group as a bunch of anti-homosexual, anti-furry group, or as a bunch of anti-homosexual, anti-furry group who were about setting the fandom to, quote, their clock. This backlash of a backlash group, kept the creative juices flowing as parody of the manifesto, and various burn fur-related artwork kept popping up. Of course, those who were offended probably admitted a lot about themselves just by showing their obvious hatred toward the burn furs movement. Again, not something that I agree with, because 100%. I lived through the whole burn furs bullshit. I don't like that group at all. I've been the target of hate from that group. Hell, I even had somebody threaten to fucking kill me because of the fact that I was openly gay when I was fucking 12. Or not 12, 14. Yeah, no, it was when I came out as openly gay that a member of the Burn Furs who was in AnthroChat, I think? Or it was either AnthroChat or PantherNet, one of the two. I came out first to the furry community, or the IRC chats that I was in, and one of the members of this straight up claimed that he knew my IP because of the fact that he could see my IP through the IRC client, and that he was gonna locate where I am and fucking, in his words, lynch a faggot. These were not good people.
Nope.
During this time, a lot of Burn Furs members were openly attacking other furs in chat rooms and such, claiming alliance to the Burn Furs movement, but what Burn Furs was about was forming a clique. It was supposed to be a group of furs who didn't want to associate themselves with the mainstream image of the furry fandom. They happily didn't want to be accepted by the furry fandom, but still didn't want to leave it completely. They wanted their cake and eat it too. In the end, if it weren't for a bunch of loudmouth burn furs who gave even worse image of the burn furs, they probably would have gone. They probably could have gone pretty well into opening the eyes of how disgusting the fandom had gotten at the time. And heck, 5 years later or so, just looking at the fandom now, they were probably right. There are more anti-fur comments coming from non-furs than ever. Now, again, not something I agree with. However, objective truth, there were many, many more anti-furry comments and beliefs in, I believe this was 2004 when it was written, than there were in, like, the early 90s. But then again, in the early to late 90s, like all throughout the 90s, there were situations like, there was a fucking politician who was found out to be a furry. And just because of his association with the furry community, he was excised from politics, made a mockery of, he had thousands of people claiming he was a pedophile just because of his association, and the dude was 100% about as fucking milquetoast fucking white bread. Like, straight up, he was bland. He was a furry and a fursuiter, but he wasn't like a mersuiter or anything. He wasn't openly sexual. The only thing that people didn't like about him was that he was a furry. Move forward to the early 2000s when MTV and fucking shit cropped up, and when, well, if you know what I mean when I say that CSI episode, early 2000s was when all of that shit started hitting the fan, and yeah, there was a ton more anti-furry mentality in the world, especially from non-furs, than ever before. Even today, you'll find that a lot of, like, anti-furry sentiment comes from misguided beliefs that, and this is another thing, because apparently some of the people arguing that furry is a queer space primarily are also in the mindset that furry is in and of itself a kink. That was the belief that the mainstream media took in the early 2000s, and primarily that's one of the reasons why we were looked down on so much. Now, I will say that the one thing I did agree with this group on is the fact that at the time, one of their things wasn't, we want all of these people purged from the fandom. No, they wanted to tell people, you know, this kind of shit should be done behind closed doors. The problem with them was the ones who were saying that shit, the ones who were, like, echoing that sentiment, were also people that were saying, we're going to find all of you perverts and put a bullet in your head. So they were an extremist group. Everybody knows about the burn first. Everybody knows about the controversy behind it. For a few of you who have actually read the manifesto and know the actual original bit of information behind it, yeah, they were a hate group. They were 100% a hate group. Not because of what they believed, but because of how they tried to force it down everyone's throats at the time, which was by threats against people's lives, threats to destroy conventions, and what have you. So the anecdotal bit that I fucking was going to share is, back when I was about 17, I originally planned to go to my first furry convention ever. Well, no, not even 18. It was like, I was 16, I think. It was 2003, so... I was 15. So the reason I didn't go was because my parents at the time, who had to sign off on me actually being allowed to go, found out online that one of these assholes had threatened to bring guns, grenades, and Molotovs and kill everyone in attendance. See what I mean by they were a hate group? However, what most people don't remember is the freezing furs, formerly the frozen furs. This is where history gets stupid, because where the burn furs wanted some, like, what's the word? Discretion. Oh, they wanted a lot of discretion. They were puritanical as fuck. And also, I should point out, they weren't just against, like, homosexuality or what have you. They were against everything that was considered alternate and anything that was sexualized, including straight Christian people who, you know, just didn't keep their fucking antics in the bedroom and wanted to sexualize themselves. Like, they were straight up they were anti-visible sexuality when it came right down to it. But, like, I mean, just like a lot of extremist groups, the rhetoric tends to override the original message. And when your founding member, i.e. Squee Rat, starts doing the same kind of shit that people like, God, what was their name? Known to be, like, she was known to be, or they, I don't know what they are at this point, known to be the, like, most vocal communist in the entire community. I, for the life of me, forgot her name. Or forgot their name. I'm drawing a blank. Hold on. I'm fairly certain they were a badger. My brain's going down a thing. for the life of me, don't remember the name.
Bastard?
I'm seeing something that looks familiar to now.
What's that?
The common use of the words Nazi and fascism.
Yeah. Let's move on. Freezing furs. In retaliation to the burn furs, we have the freezing furs. At first, they were actually called the frozen furs, which, by the way, is the name I know them by because I watched their group fucking form, and they actually went psychotic faster than the burn furs did. At first, they were called the Frozen Furs, a better parody of the burned name, but oddly enough, there were already a group of Minnesotian furries calling themselves that, so to respect them, they changed their name to Freezing Furs. The Freezing Furs had no real purpose other than to be the Michael Moore of the Burn Furs bush. They did their best to bash back at the hatred group by mudslinging and getting quotes from furry losers like they use furry losers alike. They use words like Nazi and fascism to describe the whole Burn Furs movement. They also said the one word I hate to hear the most, close-minded. The funniest part is the reason this guy hated to hear close-minded was because he's fairly close-minded. He was also very fucking cynical, and that's the thing. Quote, we're not here at the Freezing Furry movement to gain attention, but to disavow these bastards who would take away our dreams like the Nazis tried over 50 years ago. So, a bit more anecdotal sentiment, I guess. If you think, like, a bit into what's going on currently, where you've got a bunch of furries out there going, this person's a Nazi, and this person's a Trump supporter, ultra-right-wing extremist. Yes, we do have some fucking political extremists, but understand, the Freezing Furs were a good example of left-wing extremism, with the fact that they very often threatened people. Freezing Furs was started by Urine Foxtail, or I don't know how to pronounce their name, who at point helped start the now dead Ferotica muck, so no surprise he would be completely against the Burn Furs. Quote, we come from all walks of life in the real world, and in the furry world. We are not only lifestylers, zoophiles, plushophiles, and alternate stylers, but we're much more, and some of us are none of the above. We unanimously believe that those the Burn Furs have targeted do not in any way deserve the kind of, quote, punishment the Burn Furs wish to mete out on them. No one deserves a bullet in the head for their personal beliefs and unobtrusive practices. That is what we believe, and that's why we're here. So, straight off the bat from that quote, can you see a problem?
Yeah.
They're defending zoophiles.
They didn't just defend zoophiles. They defended sexual predators, rapists, child predators. They were an open and accepting group of every single solitary paraphilia you could find, and a lot of their people were just straight up child fuckers. Not okay. Understand, a good number of their fucking members openly posted videos of them fucking animals. So where the Burn Furs were considered extreme right-wing, these motherfuckers were considered extreme left-wing in the fact that they accepted literally everyone. No matter how deplorable. So, I will point this out. Between these two groups, I was actually caught in the middle. I was attacked by both of these groups, from the Burn Furs because I was openly homosexual, and by the Frozen Furs because I was openly anti-zoophile, anti-pedophile. Both of these are fucking extremist groups. So, continuing. Sure, back in 2000, or whenever this was made, this sounded like a battle cry. I sure hope, reading this now, I sure hope those reading this now can laugh at the, quote, we are not only lifestylers, zoophiles, yada yada part. Heck, their quote page is basically nothing more than a rage against the machine quotes. You cannot borrow other people's feelings, guys. Sarah Monowolf Wheeler had the most to say against the burn furs. She was going to tell you that they are nothing more than an intolerant group of hate mongers out to hate the fandom with their hate and their hate of hate of hate. Her favorite quote comes from some other fucking magazine article, which states about the burn furs, quote, their stance is that it's perfectly okay to spend 8 weeks and $500 on a homemade badger suit so that you can wear it in public, but if you have sex in it, you're weird. Which, yeah, that was kind of the sentiment of the burn furs, was if you have sex in fursuit or if you sexualize yourself in this community, you're fucking weird and don't belong. Once again, there's a limit to weird, folks. If a furry is calling you weird, something is wrong. Look at it that way instead of, hey, I already do weird stuff, so let me get creepier and creepier. You cannot call me weird, you are weird too. Both of these were extremist groups.
Yep.
There is no denying that both of these were extremist groups. One of them straight up was fucking anti-sexualization. The other was pro-sexualization. In every aspect. Yeah, Delent says, so two zealot groups, the cut your cock off ones and the fuck everything alive ones. I mean, a couple of the members that I remember from the fucking Frozen Furs, you don't have to you don't have to add the alive part. They were fucking necrophiles. Like, openly necrophiles. Like, the entire group was straight up just fuck anything. Fuck everything. There were even people in it that were considered to be what was back then called biogender, which was a fancy way of saying these people stuck their dicks in trees.
Oh. Oh.
The only real sad part about the Freezing Furs deal is that they felt that the Burn Furs were punishing these people for what they're doing. It's not Burn Furs who are doing this, it's regular people too. Anyone who would look at the fandom from the outside in would punish what he saw. My only question is that, what does alternative lifestyler have to do with this? Again, remember, people assume that the Burn Furs hate gays and lesbians. This group easily tore apart after a while, claiming the Burn Furs do more harm to themselves than they will ever, and that they will eventually die off. So, understand, the Burn Furs actually lasted longer than these guys, mostly because the backlash that the Frozen Furs, or Freezing Furs, got wasn't, you're extremists, it was, they were criticized because many of their fucking, many of their members were willing to fuck animals, children, inanimate objects, and even the dead. Which is gross beyond fucking words. There are mentions of other groups, like, for example, the Furry Peace Group, which was literally the fucking hippie movement of, why can't we all just get along? The fucking non-aligned furs, which is simply a group that decided to say, we're a group of people that don't want to group up and fight you fuckers. So, self-defeating. And then Furry Pride, which was, we really do not need a bi-lesbian support group in the furry fandom. The fandom itself is already one by default, which kinda true! there weren't
mean,
support groups needed.
Yeah.
There weren't support groups for these people in the furry community because the furry community wasn't in any way at the time, like the massive majority of the furry community were not members of these fucking psychotic groups, like the Burn Furs, the Frozen Furs. They were a huge vocal minority, but they were just that. They were a minority. So, having been one of the completely unaligned, not part of the unaligned furs, but completely unaligned with any of these groups whatsoever, I got to sit back and watch all of the fucking stupidity. Which I hate to point out, the only group here that wasn't, fucking an extremist group was Fur Pride. Reason being, Fur Pride, quote, "We do not really need a gay, bi, lesbian support group in the furry fandom. The fandom itself is already one by default. These logos may still pop up, but not as much as before. I'm sure back in the day, people were placing these on their websites to tell the world that they're gay. After about 4 years of seeing every other website with this logo, they came to the conclusion that the fandom is the gayest it will ever be. The logo lives on. The idea is pretty much moved. This group succeeded. I mean, kind of, yeah. There are a lot of homosexuals. There are a lot of LGBT members in the community. There is no doubt there. 100% no doubt. Was it made specifically for, LGBT people? No. 100% this community was made to accept what is effectively... Hold on. One moment, I'm going to see if I can bring something up. Because it's one of the easiest ways to explain what furry is. And again, it's going back to Wiki. So I'm typing into Wikifur, what is furry? See if I can actually get it to come up, because Wikifur occasionally fucking goes down, which is hilarious. Alright, it's still clocking, so let's see. Oh. Wikifur, furry, the furry encyclopedia. From Wikifur, what is a furry? The word furry has several meanings depending on the context in which it's used. In mainstream culture, it predominantly means consisting or resembling fur. But the furry fandom, in the furry fandom, it can be used to identify a person with an interest in anthropomorphic animals, science fiction, mythology, imagery, imaginary creatures which possess human looks and capabilities, or are used to identify such beings. Here we go. According to the maintainers of the Prancing Skilltear YouTube channel, the term furry was coined by a non-furry gamer, Dr. Pepper, who frequented the Prancing Skilltear in the mid-1980s. The plural form of furry, in all its context, is furs or furries, including the subject of this furry interest, furry animals, often used to mean the group of furry characters in art and roleplay. Non-furry, furries. Anthropomorphic creatures that are considered to be furry even with a lack of pelt or fur, included but not limited to dragons and lizards, also known as scalies and herps, respectively. Cetaceans, i.e. dolphins or orcas, birds and griffins, also known as featheries or avians, and tars, centaur beings being the prime example. Quote, what it means to be furry. Someone who says they are furry is generally expressing an interest in the anthropomorphic animal or other creatures, and perhaps some affiliation to the furry fandom. They may say that interest in a variety of ways, through art, through stories, roleplay, and performance. How deep or meaningful the interest in furry varies greatly from person to person. So, going back to the whole, was the furry fandom made as a offshot of queer culture? What do you guys think?
Nope.
Well, that was an immediate from Tiny. How about the rest of you in here?
What else did you expect? Fucking. My first reaction, fucking no. That's a witch. Come here, you. Beat you into a corner.
I'd say it's not exclusively a queer space, but
It's a queer accepting space, very much so. Always has been, but the reason for that is because we were primarily geek culture. We were a bunch of nerds that were fans of something that was kind of niche, i.e. anthropomorphic. Yes, there are a lot of, gay people in the community. The biggest reason being was because we were all outcasts. We all knew what it liked to be judged, and we chose not to judge people for who they wanted to love. Or who they loved. Not so much wanted to in a lot of cases.
I just heard an ND ask a question.
So, going on to history of the furry fandom. In the early days of the furry fandom, fans used to gather mostly at science fiction, fantasy, and comic conventions before the furry parties broke out into full-fledged furry conventions. The fandom for furry characters traces its organization back to the science fiction science fiction convention in 1980, when a drawing of a character from Steve Galacy's Albedo started a discussion of anthropomorphic characters in science fiction novels, spawning a discussion group that met at various science fiction and comic conventions. By the way, Steve Galacy. Steve Galacy is a furry artist, cartoonist, and milfer who lives in Seattle, Washington, U.S. with his 2 dogs. His wife of 22 years. This dude was the original furry artist. Steve Galacy. First major furry artist. Most well-known furry artist back when the shit started. So, this is where I say we're putting this, discussion to bed. And apologies for the political tangent where the burned furs and frozen furs are fucking concerned, but the whole point of me going into that was it very much feels like the discussion nowadays is just a rehash of the bullshit between the freezing and burned furs. Because you have people that are intolerant of anyone who is straight, claiming that they are guests or do not belong. And then you've got people that are vehemently against the idea of, well, discretion is a thing. And it might not be the same groups, but it's the same mentality. Y'all have effectively a them or us mentality, and you have decided to try to effectively rewrite furry history to claim that it was made exclusively by queer people. No, it wasn't. It was made exclusively for queer people. No, it wasn't. Straight people are guests in this community. No, they're not. This community primarily was meant to accept anyone and everyone. For better or worse. Some people took that to excessive extremes, allowing for people that would do terrible fucking things. That's the reason why today we have a huge problem with fucking degenerates in the community who do things like fuck fucking dogs.
Oh.
You
It's
also
actually kind
have
of
the hyper-religious or hyper-fucking intolerant groups nowadays. Groups like, and I hate to bring them up, but the Furry Raiders being a good example of the modern-day burn fur. Although they're, like, their ideology is not the same, they're hated just as much. So, TLDR on everything, we were meant to be an inclusive group. The entire community was made by a diverse group of people, from straight to openly gay to bisexual, some even pansexual, and hell, some of these people who helped build the furry community even came out as trans late in life. Anyone saying that this person doesn't belong in this community, or this person is only a guest, or this person should acknowledge that this is this kind, or that these people are above or below. All of you are fucking extremists. Each and every one. You're continuing a fucking hateful ass argument that's been raging now for decades. And because of it, people like me who have always been caught in the middle of the two extremist sides, we're sick of it. 100%, we're sick and fucking tired of people saying furry is a kink, or furry is primarily gay, or furry is primarily straight, or furry is primarily politics, or furry is non-political. Furry is everything. There's good and bad in this community. 100% there's good and bad in this community. Trying to claim that the furry community was made specifically for one group of people. It technically was. Would you like to know exactly who the community was built for? And by? It was made for and by people who thought this was cute. That's it. It boils down to simply people who thought this was cute. People who liked this art style. Doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, bi, trans. Doesn't matter. If you think this is cute, you're a furry. Whether you want to openly state that, or just think it in, think it in the back of your mind and let it be. You're technically a furry. Whether or not you associate with it is your choice. You don't have to be gay. You don't have to be bi. You don't have to be queer. You don't have to be trans. You don't have to be straight. You don't have to be Christian. You don't have to be atheist or anything else. All that is required is that you're a fan of anthropomorphics. That's it. And anybody arguing any differently are extremists. Anybody trying to claim that they own the community or that the community was built specifically for them are wrong. There is no better way to say it other than What you see on screen right now, this is what the furry community. This is what the furry community is about. Closing thoughts?
My brain doesn't really brain right now, so I'm gonna say I agree. I think it was nothing else other than it's not meant to exclude anyone, even the people who these groups think are we need to get a revenge against. It's we're just people and who like these silly little critters, you know.
We're just fans of funny little animals acting like they're human. One of the best and most accurate ways to say it.
Yeah, it is. And I've said it many times. And I'll probably say it many more times. Hey, Crystal.
Hold on. The fact that it came to, I've said it many times and I've said it many more times, people, like, you cut out for the huge chunk of that.
Yeah, my controller fell, and I was saying, people are fucking stupid.
Yeah. I mean, 100% yeah. But at the end of the day, you can't rewrite history to suit your whims or to claim something that is not is true. At the end of the day, what's on screen right now, that beautiful face, those beautiful eyes, those markings, just that entire look of an animal that is more human than creature. That's what furry's about. What it's always been about. What it always should be about. Anyone who says otherwise is a fucking moron. Just like the burn furs were morons, just like the frozen furs were morons, just like fur peace and fucking unaligned furs were morons. At the end of the day, this is what we're about. Better way to put it. What do you think, Aiden? Did Aiden fall asleep?
Might have stepped away.
I'm overwhelmed. Sorry.
Aw.
The monster was a little insane a few minutes ago.
No worries. Snuggles for the scarf. Nom.
Both.
Anyways, we're gonna leave this one here. Folks, if you enjoy the commentary or listen to my ass spaz out, give us a like. If you want to keep up with this or any of our other content, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Become part of our notification squad so you can see when we upload and when we go live. But for now, this is Kitthesoulless and Crew signing off. Until next time, anybody? Until next time, everybody. Bye-bye. Oh, woo.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ugh. It's amusing, but at the same time annoying that somebody like me has to, pipe up with this kind of shit. Because in all reality, I wish I didn't have to rant sometimes. But it feels like collectively our community has gotten so stupid that there's...
That's because they're fucking stupid.
I mean, a vast majority of... Not even a vast majority of... Just the ones that believe that they have a right to claim, or a right to stake a claim that isn't actually there, are being loud and obnoxious fucking ass munches. I mean, straight up, you want to be crazy about it? go for it. If you want to be fucking non-vocal, go for it. If you want to be stupid or fucking spazzy or what have you, go for it. It doesn't mean you're not a furry. All that's required is to like the art style and like the idea of anthropomorphics. Oh. How much do you want to bitch that how much do you want to bitch? How much do you want to bet there are gonna be people bitching that this fucking rant is almost 2 hours again?
Probably.
Darren fucking.
They're probably gonna be like, you went on about a subject that doesn't even make fucking sense. You know, like, they're gonna be saying like the fact that you went on off a tangent about the burn furs and stuff.
I mean, that's the thing. It is a tangent, but it was connected too, because if you think about it, this whole fucking rant has been about stupid people laying claim to something that they don't have any right to lay claim to. The same thing that both of the fucking major psycho fuck groups did back then.